I always thought Ikea was a great place to get lost in. You know, with all its winding paths through rooms that look straight out of a home and garden magazine. But that was before last night. Last night, I found out how terrifying getting lost in Ikea can really be. My buddy Tim and I decided to make a late-night run to grab some new furniture for his apartment. We got there around 8:30 p.m., about a half hour before closing. I love going to stores right before they close. Fewer people, you know? "Hey, you think we got time to try the meatballs?" Tim asked as we walked through the entrance. "Nah, let's just grab what we need and bounce. Maybe another time?" We grabbed a yellow bag and started to make our way through the maze of showrooms. Tim was looking for a new bookshelf, and I was eyeing some of those cool desk lamps. We joked around, tested some sofas, messed with the fake laptops in the office setups. Time flew by. "Hey dude," I looked at my phone. "It's 8:55. We should head to the checkout." Tim nodded, but then his eyes lit up like a kid spotting the ice cream truck. "Yo, is that the Kallax shelf?" There it was, a simple yet beautiful wooden bookshelf that Tim had been raving about. He was so excited that he started imagining how he'd organize his book collection on it. I was happy for him, really, but then I noticed how eerily quiet it got. All the background music had stopped. "We need to go, man." Yeah, okay, let's roll." We began to follow the arrows on the floor that led to the exit, but they seemed to go on forever. It was like the store had stretched itself. The paths twisted and turned more than I remembered, and then the lights began to flicker. You seeing this?" I asked, my voice shaky. "Don't worry, probably just some electrical thing. Keep going." And then we heard it. A whisper, so soft it was almost drowned out by the hum of the fluorescent lights. Someone, or something, was in the store with us. "Did you hear that?" Tim's face went pale. "Yeah, let's move faster." The whispers grew louder, echoing down the aisles. I couldn't make out any words, but they sounded almost like a chant. We quickened our pace, our footsteps drowning out the whispers momentarily. We turned a corner and bumped into a display of mirrors. Except the reflections staring back at us were not our own. They were twisted versions of us, grinning from ear to ear, eyes black as coal. "Run!" I screamed, and we bolted. The arrows on the floor became more confusing, like they were changing directions on us. And no matter how far we ran, those mirrors seemed to be right behind us, our twisted reflections grinning wider. Then, as suddenly as it started, everything went back to normal. The lights stopped flickering, the whispers stopped, and the arrows led us straight to the checkout. We looked at each other, but didn't say a word. We just wanted to get the hell out of there. We left the yellow bag and the coveted Kallax shelf behind, rushing past the empty cash registers to the exit. But the exit doors wouldn't budge. They were locked. "It's past closing time," a voice said behind us. We turned around to see a store employee smiling politely. "I can let you out, though." The doors clicked open and we nearly tripped over ourselves running out into the parking lot. We drove back to Tim's place in silence. No music, no talk, just the sound of the car engine and our own shallow breaths. We've never spoken about that night again. I don't know what happened, and to be honest, I don't want to know. I just know one thing. I'm never stepping foot in an Ikea again. But here's the creepiest part. A package arrived at Tim's apartment the next day. No return address, just his name written neatly on a brown box. Inside, perfectly assembled, was the Kallax shelf. He threw it out immediately. But sometimes, when we're hanging out at his place, I swear I can still hear faint whispers coming from the corner where the shelf used to stand. And I can't shake the feeling that our reflections are not entirely our own. So, next time you find yourself in Ikea, maybe stick to the online catalog, yeah? Because some mazes, once entered, are not meant to be exited. Man, it was just supposed to be a quick trip to Ikea. Get in, grab a desk, maybe some meatballs, and get out. But nothing's ever simple, right? I went in the late afternoon, thinking it'd be quieter. It was, but maybe too quiet. The place was practically empty except for a few employees and some tired-looking couples arguing over color schemes. The overhead lights shone brightly on the neat rows of furniture, making everything look like a stage set. Anyway, I made my way to the office furniture section, and that's when I first felt it. A weird tingle at the back of my neck, like someone was watching me. I glanced around, saw nobody, shrugged it off. Maybe I was just tired. I started examining desks, pulling out drawers, and checking for sturdiness. Then I heard it. A whisper. It was so soft that I thought I was imagining it. "Don't." That's all it said. I stopped and looked around again. Still, no one. The silence felt heavy, and that tingle at the back of my neck got stronger. "It's just your imagination," I told myself. I decided on a desk and jotted down its aisle and bin number, time to head to the self-serve area. As I was walking, the whisper came again. "Don't go." I stopped dead in my tracks. That wasn't my imagination. It was clearer this time. Still whispery, but definitely there. I looked around, even checked under the display beds and behind the curtains. Nada. My heart was pounding. This was getting too weird. I decided to grab the desk and bolt. The sooner I was out, the better. But as I turned to leave, the whisper became a chorus of whispers surrounding me. "Don't go. Stay." I broke into a sprint. Screw the desk. I just wanted to get out of there. The whispers followed me. I couldn't tell where they were coming from. It was like they were inside my head. I finally reached the self-serve area. It was deserted. Those huge shelves loomed over me, filled with flat boxes of furniture. I felt trapped, like a rat in a maze. The whispers were incessant now, drowning out my thoughts. "Stay, stay, stay." In a panic, I grabbed my phone to call for help. No signal. Of course. Just then, one of the towering shelves shuddered. I stared at it, disbelieving. Then it shuddered again and began to tip. It was falling right towards me. I dodged just in time, crashing into another shelf and sending boxes tumbling down. The fallen shelf lay where I had been standing seconds ago. I couldn't breathe. My heart was a jackhammer. The whispers stopped. I heard footsteps, quick, purposeful. An employee rounded the corner, his face pale. "Is everything okay? We heard a loud noise." I couldn't speak. I just pointed at the fallen shelf. The employee called for backup, and soon enough, other staff members were there, lifting the shelf and cleaning up. They apologized, offered me gift cards, and assured me they'd look into it. "Must have been a faulty shelf," the manager said, clearly relieved that I wasn't hurt. But I wasn't so sure. As I finally left Ikea, still shaking, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something else had happened. Something I couldn't explain. The whispering had stopped, but the feeling remained. I couldn't get rid of the chills that ran down my spine. As I drove home, I glanced at my rearview mirror, half expecting to see something, or someone, in the back seat. Nothing was there, but the feeling lingered. Even now, as I sit in my living room writing this all down, I still feel it. Like I left a part of myself back in that Ikea, and whatever it was that whispered to me, kept it. Man, I love my job. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but working at Ikea is pretty chill. People usually keep to themselves, assembling their flat-packed dreams. I clock in, do my rounds, and clock out. Easy peasy. But something felt off when I walked in for my shift last night. Mike, the guy who's always cracking dad jokes by the coffee machine, gave me this weird look as I punched in my code. "Hey Mike, how's it going?" I tried to keep things normal. "Fine," he muttered, not meeting my eyes. "Everything's fine." Okay, weird. But hey, we all have off days, right? As I walked through the showroom, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was just not right. Sarah, from the lighting section, who usually greets everyone with this radiant smile, seemed lost. She was staring at a shelf full of LED bulbs as if she was trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. "Sarah, you okay?" I asked, concerned. "Sure, I'm just figuring out something," she replied, her voice shaky. I moved on, brushing off the weirdness. But as I hit the warehouse, I noticed that it was eerily quiet. Even the usual beeping of the forklifts was absent. I found Tom, one of the warehouse guys, standing still, staring at his employee badge as if it was a foreign object. "Tom, you good, man?" He glanced up, startled. "Oh, hey. Yeah, just checking something." He looked back down at his badge, captivated. Something was definitely off. It was like everyone was in some sort of trance. Deciding I had to shake this off, I headed to my section, home organization, my kingdom of shelves, boxes, and closet systems. Might as well get some work done, right? I started by restocking some missing items. But just as I was placing a scubby box on the shelf, I heard a voice, soft but very clear. "Is it real?" I almost dropped the box. "Who said that?" Silence. I looked around. The aisle was empty. "This is getting freaky," I muttered to myself. Then I heard it again. "Is it real? Is it really you?" The voice seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. My heart was pounding now. I felt a shiver crawl up my spine. I bolted from the aisle, thinking maybe I'd feel safer in a crowd. As I moved toward the main pathway, I glanced at my coworkers. Each one was entranced by something. Mike was still staring at the coffee machine. Sarah was now holding an LED bulb up to her eye. Tom had his badge pressed to his forehead. They were all murmuring something I couldn't make out, their voices harmonizing into a dull chant. I felt trapped, but then my eyes landed on my own employee badge, hanging from my belt. I grabbed it and looked closely. There was something behind the laminated surface, a sort of shimmer. As I stared, my badge began to change. My photo was warping, distorting into something, not me. I was now fully freaking out. My fingers trembled as I clipped the badge back onto my belt. I thought about running for the exit, but something stopped me. A sort of curiosity, a pull. I needed to know what was happening. Gathering my courage, I walked back to my aisle, picked up a barcode scanner from its holder, and scanned my badge. A message popped up on the small screen. "Employee not recognized. Is it real? Is it really you?" At that moment, I felt an overwhelming urge to say it out loud. "Yes, it's me. I'm real." As soon as the words left my mouth, everything changed. The lights brightened, the beeping of the forklifts resumed. Mike started laughing by the coffee machine, a good old dad joke, no doubt. Sarah was back to helping a customer choose the right lamp. Tom was zooming by on a forklift. "Hey!" Sarah waved at me. "How's your shift going?" I looked down at my employee badge. It was just a regular badge again, my smiling face behind the laminate. I touched it, half expecting it to morph again, but it stayed the same. "I think it's going pretty normal now," I said, still not sure if I was telling the truth. But one thing was for sure. I was going to take a long, hard look at my badge every morning from now on. I walked back to my aisle and resumed restocking, my hands still trembling a little. And as I placed a box on the shelf, I couldn't help but wonder, was everyone else's experience as weird as mine? Or had I been the weird one all along? Then, just as I was convincing myself that it was all some mass hallucination or bizarre dream, I heard it, soft but unmistakable, almost a whisper but clear as day, a voice saying, "Well done, now. Is it real?" And I knew then, deep down, that whatever had just happened wasn't over. Not by a long shot.